fourth wall.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for March the 26th, 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster at PW Hipster across the board and the pro wrestling hipster over on Facebook. CJ, tell the people who you are, and let's get into tonight's main event.
CJ Carter at CJ Carter 22, and I guess potentially might accidentally be a writer for NXT based on a few things that I noticed tonight. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
I swear I'm not a man on the inside.
I think there's stuff you're not telling the viewers here. You've called a lot of pretty intricate things here in the past, and I don't know. I think you might be on the inside. You're just not telling anybody about it. But hey, you know,
trust me, if I was, you guys would be the first to know.
This wouldn't be a keep your secrets Gandalf moment.
No, 100%. I would not be able to keep that secret.
Fair enough. But so tonight's main event, we saw the Wolf Dogs, aka Team Corbin, taking on Alpha Academy. Wolf Dogs pick up the win here in 10 minutes and 7 seconds, meaning that Alpha Academy will not be at Stand and Deliver in Philadelphia. Pretty solid main event. You know, what we've come to expect from the Wolf Dogs. They're having way too much fun with this. And honest to God, the Wolf Dogs have been more fun than it has any right to be. I mean,
100%.
It's made us look forward to seeing Baron Corbin on TV on a week-to-week basis. And honest, nothing should have caused that. But CJ, what do you think of tonight's main event?
It was a great match, and I mean, to that point that it successfully made us care about Baron Corbin. Like, I'm genuinely invested, and I'm genuinely happy to see the guy having fun and being in the main event on a weekly basis.
And it has to be gratifying for him.
It was 100%. And I mean, it's really, like, trying to figure out how I want to phrase it. Like, I never expected it, but it was like a not unwelcome surprise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I was pretty firm in my belief that that Baron Corbin was going to have to leave and then come back in order for fans to get invested in him, and he has proven me wrong. But I don't know if the fun will carry on without Bron Breakker there. Like, they play off each other so well that if he goes to SmackDown and Corbin stays on NXT, then is he going to have someone else that he can bounce off of? Or are we going to find out that it was really just a reflection of Breakker that we were seeing in Corbin this whole time?
Well, I mean, if they do try to do a similar gimmick with someone else, it might feel derivative anyway. You know, you can't really always capture that lightning twice. And God knows, if you had told me 6 months ago that they were going to pair Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker, I would have said, well, first of all, why? Like, why is that happening? What happened to Bron? What'd you do to Bron? Who fucked up Bron's career so badly that he's teaming with Baron Corbin? That's what I would have thought. But, like, it's been so good, and it just works. There's just something X-Factory about it, not the team, like you're dealing with the X-Factor. No, not that. I mean, like, the actual, like, the it. You can't explain it. It's just good. It is just fun. And I'm sad. I'm sad that it's going to be coming to an end, because you know it has to. And, you know, and again, based off of some things tonight, my money's still on the Good Brothers to win the titles at Stand and Deliver. But anyway, back to the match itself. Fantastic. You know, that table spot with Otis. Tozawa sold his ass off tonight, which, you know, Tozawa takes a beat.
Talking about that table spot, like, how have we reached the point that that's not a disqualification? Like, putting him through a normal table would warrant a disqualification, but is it because it's a collapsible, not even collapsible, but like a table that you have to assemble like IKEA furniture?
brush steel and Allen wrenches for the ring crew. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it should be a disqualification, but I'm a little bit more of a purist on that. I'm actually someone who kind of is on the fence even about throwing someone into the steps. And I feel like that's how they view the
I'm
table.
fine with steps.
Well, maybe that's how they view it, though. The steps are there, the table's there. But, like, I don't know. They could maybe play it up to referee discretion, which I wouldn't mind. It would actually be kind of neat, like, if you started to learn, like, well, this referee's pretty lenient with countouts. Like, he's going to give a real slow 10, or well, she's not going to call a disqualification if you put somebody through the table outside, but if you hit him with a chair, she will. That, not like an evil ref or anything, but just that's because that's how legitimate sports operate. You think about NFL teams, there are certain markets in the country here in the U.S. where referees are going to be more apt to call certain penalties than in other stadiums. So they know
or
that's
even just offside or
and they know going into those games that there's these referees have a propensity to do that or to not do that, and you prep for that. It just would add one more crazy little real sport element to this wonderful thing we call professional wrestling. But I digress. Back to the main event. Some real hard hitting moves in this match tonight. I don't know if everybody out there watching saw the I don't want to say scuttlebutt online, but there was some discussion about moves that disappear over time and then sometimes come back. And we saw a little bit of a return of or a variation of a Steiner classic here tonight.
I think that one could probably stay forgotten.
Yep, sorry, my feed lagged there for a second. I'm sorry, CJ, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, that move could probably stay forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, fantastic match overall. I've really been enjoying the tag team scene in NXT. They have a really, deep set of teams right now. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, they are bringing teams down from the main roster, so I guess I can't say it's as deep as I'd like for it to be. And again, considering I do think that the Good Brothers are going to be walking away with the titles tonight, but we had the old school pandemonium at ringside brawl, WCW style there at the end.
Love a good brawl to end the show, eh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fade to black. Everything's still going crazy. You're waiting for Sting to drop from the rafters. I mean, obviously that wasn't going to happen. That would have been a surprise.
Well, see, now I feel like I'm waiting on The Rock to just beat down Cody Rhodes some more.
That would have been fantastic. He's just still kicking his ass somehow all the way from Chicago to Florida, but just breaks through. Be fantastic.
No, like not even like they make their way to the arena. Rock and Rhodes are still in Chicago and they haven't left the arena. Yeah, like they're still outside the Nightmare Bus.
Just hanging out. This is completely random. One of my favorite things about that spot last night was that there was like a little welcome mat right in front of Cody's bus that he was basically bleeding on. But
I thought the funniest thing to me is just seeing Cody Rhodes's face battered and bloodied right up next to an adorable picture of Pharaoh.
Yeah, that was the juxtaposition.
Okay. I know this is the NXT stream, but since you guys are talking about it, if you're watching NXT, then I'm fairly certain you watched Raw and you have some interest in what happened to close that show. I ask you guys this question that I've been thinking about. When The Rock came back in 2012, he brought a bit of an edge with him. And I remember there was a report even back then that people were mad that their promos were cut off at the balls because they were in 2012, much more than 2024. But The Rock could come in and say whatever he wanted and whatever. But then they were left with him when he left. It wasn't like it shifted the programming.
Right.
The circumstances this time, though, are a little different in that The Rock isn't just coming back, for a little stint to just play around and then go back to Hollywood, even though that might be the case in ring. But he's on the board of directors, right? So do you think that this display of, TV 14-esque violence on Raw yesterday is an indication that the product is going to shift? Or was it just Dwayne flexing his Dwayne-ness?
I'm hopeful, but I do think it's a shift in the product. I genuinely do. I think there were other allusions to that last night on Raw regarding some potential changes we may see once the Netflix deal takes effect. And I think we are. I think we're going to move back that way. I think especially with Rock having more sway, he's going to want wrestling to look more like it did when he was there. And, sometimes that ego is going to benefit everybody. And this is a chance for the Rock's ego to actually benefit everybody. He wants wrestling to be what it was when he was there because he's the greatest of all time in his head. And, so he thinks that air is great. But last night was great. Like it was a, breakneck show. Like it was all over the place, but it was a easy 3 hours to watch and it was a lot of fun. And just like the Attitude Era, there was, only about 12% of the show was wrestling.
I also want to say, because I not that you're saying this, but I've seen a lot of the Attitude Eras back, and I don't agree with that. I don't think
it's the same thing.
I don't think that's what this is, right? But let me say why. I think it's The Rock. And to compare this to something that won't make any sense before I finish explaining it, it reminds me of how Bryan Danielson came out of the other side of his WWE run as like the ultimate version of himself. It's like his time in the WWE created this super incredible professional wrestler that he is now. I think with The Rock, his time in Hollywood, and not just as an actor, like his time as a producer, his time as a creative, his time working with people in Hollywood, he's brought that back with him now this time and for this run. And he's changed a lot of the way they're telling their stories, particularly things like Easter eggs and foreshadowing and particular angles and things that you kind of felt stupid trying to pick at on a WWE show, even as recent as 6 months ago. If someone had said, but look at the trucks in the background, I'd be like, shut up. Like, this is stupid and you're stupid for bringing that up. But
what an old truck to have. One with an old picture of Cena and Steve Austin. Like,
but that's what I mean. Like, yeah,
I don't believe anything's on accident.
I think it also had. I really don't. I think it also had Lita on.
Oh, he muted himself by accident.
He muted Siege. Under Siege.
I fucking hate it here. No, but like the same thing could be said that the trailer also had. I think it was an older picture of Lita as well. And is she gonna get involved in the bloodline? But I did think that it would be, and I did say it last night, that I think it would be a good WrestleMania moment for when you're pairing off who's going to take care of who in the main event of night 2. Have John Cena be the one to come back and take care of The Rock. I think it is a bit of a stretch to think that the trailer and their filming outside of it is a bit of a stretch. But that doesn't negate the fact that I think it's a good idea.
No, actually, there's like proof. If all the WWE trucks right now are coated with WrestleMania jackets, there's pictures of them. They have the WrestleMania XL jackets. This truck was given a different jacket and parked back there on purpose. But that's what I mean. That's what The Rock has brought to the WWE now. These ideas. And I got the indication that he was going to do things like this from that quote unquote WrestleMania teaser that they released. And it hadn't announced the match yet. We didn't know what was going on, but they released this teaser. They've never done anything like this before. Because in the context of the story, it wouldn't make sense that we know the match is announced. But The Rock is beyond that. He's not playing in this kayfabe anymore. He's looking at it like a production. He's laying foundation and telling stories from the outside. This teaser told us that it was going to be a tag team match at WrestleMania. But we had never had that in WWE before, so everyone kept acting like, what's the match going to be? But the teaser said it. Like, they filmed it and put it out there for you to grab onto it if you grab onto it. These are the kind of things he's doing for the company now, and that's really interesting. And I hope that that's not just going to be in his stories. I hope that's going to be product-wide. And I didn't mean to derail your conversation, but
God, no.
any
think,
more than we already derailed the show whenever we
hey,
get
this is
caught
what
in
our
the weeds.
viewers have come to expect. That's what they expect from us at this point. But I do think we're going to see a slight paradigm shift here. I don't think you get to close a Monday Night Raw on the USA Network with that's what happens when you fuck with the final boss if there's not some permanent change happening. Like he can't have just gone into business for himself and said that off the cuff. That had to have had some sort of like approval somewhere above even The Rock. Like, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. But like, I feel like
my small fear though, that because we've been here before. Like he's done things like this before. It's not off the cuff. He's gotten approval, but no one else would ever get approval for something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And that he has Brian Gerwitz with him specifically doing his stuff kind of scares me to think that when he goes back to Hollywood after WrestleMania, Gerwitz and all those ideas are going with him. And I'm like, that's gonna suck because we were having fun with the WWE before he got here with all this extra cool seasoning and sauce. You can't just take it back now. Now it's gonna feel dry. Now, like, wait a minute. Now you ain't fuck us. So that's my small fear. That's what I worry about. But I'll let y'all get back to NXT. Sorry, everyone.
Specifically NXT.
But back to the main there. CJ, anything else on tonight's main event or the tag team scene going into Stand and Deliver?
No, but back to WrestleMania. I thought no, just kidding. No, I think heading into Stand and Deliver. I don't know that there's like I'm trying to think of who else was in like the first round matchups for the tag team match at Stand and Deliver, and I don't think of anybody that would have been a better contender than the LWO or Luke Gallows and Anderson, Axiom, Nathan Fraser. Like these four teams are the best contenders in the tag team division as far as I'm concerned. So I think they've got a division down in NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, so we will hop around to the start of tonight's show. NXT this evening opened with Dijak taking on Shawn Spears. Dijak picks up the win here in 13 minutes and 22 seconds. You know, I will say, when we started this show, I'd been a little out of the loop on NXT. And I wasn't too hyped to see Dijak on my television set every week getting back into this. And Dijak has absolutely won me over. I look forward to seeing Dijak work every single week. His matches are well done. He tells, a compelling story in the ring. He understands his character very well. I don't like the entrance. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I don't like the Sin City thing. I think it's just like very 2004. But like, other than that, it's great. He's good on the mic. Like, and it kills me that no one that watches the main roster that, if they don't pay attention to NXT, they're not going to see him this way. They're going to remember, oh God, what was the name? T-Bar?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but Dijak's come so far since then. Like, he's so damn good here. But great match though overall. Good, hard-hitting, well-paced opening match. A lot of fun. CJ, what'd you think?
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic match for sure. The point that you were making about Dijak and coming around on him. First of all, glad it finally came around. The other thing is, yeah, like he has been a top level competitor in NXT his first time around, and then Retribution kind of killed all of his momentum. But I've been largely supportive of Dijak since the beginning. I agree that his Sin City intro is kind of overrated and it could be better, but I think that what he's doing outside of like with his character is fantastic. And to pivot off that, I don't agree that Shawn Spears' current character is a good fit. I think that it's not that it's a bad direction. I just don't think it's not Shawn Spears at his best. But it's still early. I may have a moment like you did with Dijak where I end up coming around, and the next thing you know, I'm Shawn Spears' biggest fan.
No, I do agree with you. It doesn't seem to be clicking yet. And I feel the way I don't feel like it's really clicking with the audience yet either. Like even in Arena, they seem to just not really to understand it. I don't think I really understand what he's doing yet either. And again, it's early. So, in 4 or 5 weeks, we could be saying something completely different about this. But right now, just to me, it doesn't feel like it's, I don't know, hitting the right note that he wants to hit with it. Because like I said, when he comes up, when they bring up the lights, there's always a small smattering of the 10 chants still, and then it kind of dies out. And I don't know. I don't really know what to make of the character yet. And that's also because, the promos that they teased him coming back with, we were speculating, a dozen different wrestlers that could have been for. He was not on that list for anyone. And so it just felt so out of left field there. I don't know. Also, and I've said this before, I've historically not been his biggest fan. I wasn't a fan of the 10 gimmick back in the day, and which I know, shame on me, but
the fact that they did the Rumble entry, I don't think it was 2 years in a row, but they did 2 different years where Ty Dillinger entered the Rumble at number 10. And it's like, the first time it was like, yeah, okay, it was a pretty solid joke. That's good. And then the second time around, it's like, I mean, it was funnier the first time. But the thing that really entertained me about this match, of course, Joe Gacy deciding to get involved and just being the chaos gremlin that he's been the last few months is the best version of Joe Gacy.
Oh, yeah, he's having fun.
Like, it's just so good.
Like, right here in my notes, what I wrote was Gacy continues to Gacy. And that is what he does. He's just Gacying along, just being a happy little Gacy under the ring. But no, that was fantastic. That was fun. And that set up for a fun little moment later in the night we'll talk about here in just a bit as well. But yeah, Joe Gacy's got a new target, it would appear.
Yep, finally done with Dijak. Yep. Dijak, actually, the fact that he was able to help Dijak get the victory seemed to surprise even him.
Yeah, and Dijak's probably glad that Gacy's moving on from wanting to
absolutely. That's a nightmare and a headache that is now somebody else's to deal with.
Right.
But no, I'm excited to see, especially when Shawn Spears goes outside later in the night and he's mid-sentence talking about Joe Gacy, and then Joe just chucks a chair off the roof of the Performance Center.
It's great. It's just, it's a lot of fun. Gacy's walking that line between cartoony and deranged, but it's fun. It's almost like I don't know, like a cosmopolitan crazy. Like, yeah, he's off his rocker, but he's not really going to hurt anybody. Like outside of a ring, he's oh geez. But yeah,
he aimed the chair. He didn't just throw it all willy nilly.
Yeah,
he made sure it wasn't going to hit anybody.
It's it's going to work. Well, you know what? No, I still feel like that was probably a pretty massive OSHA violation. But I assume there's something like OSHA.
Well, good thing internationally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Gacy.
Oh, I cut out again, didn't I?
But so moving on from there, after that, we had a Roxanne Perez segment, cutting up just photos from, I guess, a scrapbook that she had laying around. I'm not really sure, but pretty. This worked better than the live in-ring interviews she has done since turning heel.
I wonder if that's because it wasn't live.
No, exactly. When you've got more than one take, it's. I feel like it's a really weird comparison. But I remember years ago, people really enjoyed the like the pre-recorded Brock Lesnar tape segments. The one where he's like talking about how like John Cena's going to have to worry about the piss running down his leg. Like, and like he came across way more compelling in those because he was produced. And, you know, she came across a lot more compelling here because she was probably heavily produced, and that could have been 48 takes for all we know.
Well, and I mean, it really just further solidifies the need for an acting coach at the Performance Center. And I, here's where I really had to laugh at the first point in the night, because if you watched last week, you remember the fact that I was hammering home the fact that Roxanne Perez lost the NXT Women's Championship on April 3rd, 2021. I think that was the date. Yeah, it was the 3rd. And I was listening during this promo to make the joke of to make that same joke again, and then she didn't say it. And I had it in my notes. It's like, well, to her credit, she didn't say she never lost the title at all, so I can't poke her ribs for it this time around. But then, do we want to talk about the counterpart video, Lyra's video?
Indication.
Indication. Do we want to talk about Lyra's video too? Then,
let's go ahead and talk about Lyra's video now.
Lyra puts out a video similar to this later on in the night, where she flat out says that you lost the title at Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm. You couldn't climb the ladder.
I got chills. I was like, wait, are they like, is Shawn Michaels actually watching? Like, hey, we need some kind of sign or something. But I thought it was finally like, thank you for respecting long-term storytelling. Like, that's all I was asking for, essentially. Was I hate having misinformation shoved down my throat. So the fact that they finally addressed, hey, no, that's not actually what happened. Now I can move on and bitch about something else.
Hey, and this is wrestling. There is no shortage of things for us to bitch and complain about here.
I even just in NXT, like, I'm sure we can find something by the end of this episode that, but we still don't know if Von Wagner fought those kids. I'm still gonna be like, deep down in my heart, week after week, I'm like, I need to know if Von Wagner went to Robert Stone's kids' school and fought the kids that were giving them a hard time.
We need answers. And sadly, we're probably never going to get those answers. But you know what? If ever I meet Shawn Michaels, I'm bringing this up.
You have to.
Swear to God, I will. I'm not kidding.
But you know what? I will take this. This is a victory.
I mean, I'll say this is a deep cut here. But when I met Jimmy Hart several years ago, I asked him, there was for everyone, for like the 18 people out there that watched Legends House, which by the way, Legends House was fucking fun. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's a good time.
I always meant to and just never did.
It really is. It really is a blast. Now it's kind of sad because Piper's gone, you know, and a couple of the guys are no longer with us. Actually, several people on the show are no longer with us. But I mean, but it's a fun show, so watch it if you haven't. But there's a reoccurring theme about Jimmy Hart is a very picky eater. He likes bland things. And Pat Patterson, rest in peace there. But Pat was making cabbage rolls or something like that, and Jimmy wouldn't eat them. And they never concluded whether or not the cabbage rolls actually got made. And I asked Jimmy Hart about that, and he went on about a 5-minute rant about how much he hated cabbage rolls after that. Nice guy, though, Jimmy Hart.
Okay, but did he answer your question?
They were completed, and he did not eat them. That was the conclusion. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, he's again, lovely man, but very picky eater, apparently. Don't go. It's hard to go to a restaurant with Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart and his cabbage rolls, Undertaker and his cucumber, like it's the wrestling industry just has a lot of picky eaters.
Yeah, everybody's got something, right? But let's hop back into NXT here. Enough of the Jimmy Hart chat. Enough about the diet habits of Jimmy Hart and the Undertaker.
Okay, yeah, I'll take credit for the first derailment. The second one's on you.
Yeah, it's Tuesday night, y'all. You know what to expect. But
so 2 hours long. 2 hours long.
we had a quick segment backstage. A bunch of folks in NXT were auditioning to be the official hosts of Stand and Deliver.
I found something to bitch about. This was dumb.
Yeah, although it did get to see, you got to see Andre Chase get all pissed off when he was told that he was, just to move along. So
he didn't look like shit.
Stand and Deliver. I think there were 2 couches in the room for what it's worth.
But I like these little character.
Tuesday night, guys. Uncut, uncooked, uncensored. But no, yeah. So terrible idea.
I was literally just about to start talking about Enofe, Blade, and Brinley Reese. Which
and then that's what pops
would
up.
have been the worst segue in NXT Dirt Sheet Radio Rewind history,
or possibly greatest in podcast.
No, I'm gonna go with worst.
Okay, fair enough. Cutting hairs here, But
I mean, for all of this, just to get to Metaphor hosting Stand and Deliver, which I don't get the idea of using. Excuse me, not like I get the idea of using talent as hosts, just to get them on the card, get popular talents the exposure if they don't have the match. But the having all the segments of these hosts compiled over the course of the event, you could have had them in a match in that length of time. I get it's a nice change of pace going to a segment that, just a palate cleanse dissect, but at the same time, Metaphor is a wrestling stable,
right.
There's no reason why they couldn't have had some sort of 8-person mixed tag team match, slap something together. Metaphor's pissed a lot of people off. You're telling me you can't find 2 men and 2 women that have a problem with them?
Right, they could have done something with like Alpha Academy, I mean, they could have found something for them to do for sure.
Yeah, Alpha Academy, Maxine Dupree, Kalani Jordan. There you go. That's
easy peasy.
That's the 4. Yeah.
Right. See, book it, Michaels. Book it. But up next we had Thea Hail with the entirety of Chase U, taking on Jazmyn Nyx in her NXT in-ring television debut. Hail picks up the win here in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Pretty quick match here, just kind of continuing the story here between Jacy Jayne and Thea Hail. Thea at one point just sadly shouting, I thought you were my friend, Jacy. And then Jacy just slapped her straight across the face. But surprisingly, that didn't result in the heel victory. It's usually that would. And Thea picks it up here. Just real quick, why the entirety of Chase U? Like, to me, it seems a bit much to have that many people with you. I get, you need support, but it's once upon a time, if you accompanied a wrestler to the ring, you had to possess a manager's license. I'm not saying we have to go back to that level of kayfabe here, but for God's sakes, 3 people's a bit much. When the ref ejected him, I was like, you know what? It kind of makes sense. There's too many of you. Leave. It's a bit much.
Exactly. And I was going to say props to the ref for making the decision to kick them out, because obviously if Riley Osborne is hopping into the ring to catch a towel that Jacy Jayne stole off Andre Chase's shoulder and you weren't going to catch it, that match could have ended right then and there. So props to him for putting the shenanigans out, stamping them out before they can even really get completed. The one thing that I loved the finish of this match. Like, it was to go into the moment that you said where it was Jacy Jayne slapping Thea Hail, and then she ends up getting into a pinning predicament by Jazmyn Nyx, but then she manages just to turn it around into a Kimura lock and get a very fast submission victory. That was a very fast sequence, and it really adds to the realism, I think, that yeah, it really can happen that quickly. And it was a great example of that presentation. And then, of course, to see the brawl that happened afterwards with God, I'm blanking on names. Jacy Jayne. I'm trying to read the bottom of the thing too as my cheat sheet. But yeah, all 6 women getting involved. It feels like that's the match for Stand and Deliver, probably.
Yeah. You know, like I think they're going to wait a little bit longer before we get that, you know, big blow off Jacy Jayne, Thea Hail 1-on-1. Which is probably for the best a little bit too. Well, Thea is looking better really every week. I think she still has a little bit further to go before she's ready for a kind of top level one-on-one feud there.
So which probably closer to Heat Wave would probably be the better option for a one-on-one.
Loved the using Heat Wave as a title, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, the Heat Wave 98 was the first ECW pay-per-view I saw as a kid. So the Heat Wave pay-per-view name has always held a nice soft spot in my heart there.
I just thought it was appropriate because it was, start of the summer when it's, if you're Canadian, 30 plus degrees out. And if you're American, I don't know, whatever the fuck that is, 90, 80 something, whatever.
Yeah, probably high mid-80s. I'm not sure what the conversion is there from the old Celsius to Fahrenheit. You know what? Let's all just use Kelvin. Screw it. Let's all just do Kelvin from now on.
There we go. The superior unit of measurement.
That's what's
We're getting sidetracked again.
Sorry. Thea Hail. I do want to say, fantastic facial expressions. I do say that a lot, but like she emotes very, very well in the ring. If she's happy, you absolutely see it and tell it. You know, if she's in pain, if she's whatever, like she's very good at that. So I just want to see her wrestling ability pick up to that. Like, yeah, the way she portrays her character comes across as corny, but I don't think that's bad acting. I think that's how Thea Hail as a character is. Like, it's very raw, old school, kind of college type, and she's back in that character now. And I would like to see them get her into something else eventually, but I kind of felt like they knew she wasn't going to be able to go heel.
No, and I think that was pretty evident within even like 2 months. It just
even looked goofy in black leather. Like it didn't even work that well. Like,
yeah,
what are you wearing? Is it Halloween, Thea? Go change.
But I mean, yes, what if she does end up splitting from Chase U? Hopefully she'll be able to find a character that really works for her. That's outside the rah sort of energy and mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving on, we had a one of several really, really well produced Trick Williams Carmelo Hayes segments. We don't really need to talk about these in super detail. Folks that watch the show are well aware of the story, but it was a very well done recap of everything. CJ, what'd you think of these vignettes tonight?
That's exactly what I was going to say. They are extremely well produced, and this is the kind of level. Yeah, to see guys like CM Punk and Booker T lending their opinions on this match really helps the match stand out as the main event. And they did announce that this match was going to be the main event of Stand and Deliver. Them to highlight Trick and Melo, it really highlights how much this feud has meant to the NXT crowds. It really is, yeah. Like heading to Philadelphia, this is Trick Williams's Rocky moment.
Oh, absolutely. Now, this might be a little bit of a hot take, and CJ, you're a NXT historian.
Oh boy, here we go.
But I think that a very good argument can be made that the Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes feud is the greatest one-on-one feud that NXT has produced. The only thing I'd really put up against it would be Gargano and excuse me, would be Gargano and
Ciampa.
Thank you. Yeah, all I could think was Sicilian Psychopath, and I'm like, they have not called him that since Ring of Honor.
No, and like that's definitely a solid contender. Like when you think of like hallmark NXT feuds, I even go back to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I go back to I had one in my Finn Balor, Samoa Joe is another one for me that really stands out.
That one I would put up there. My thing with Owens and Zayn is that I that kind of moved to NXT from a prior place. Like they'd been, knocking the hell out of each other in Ring of Honor and PWG for so long. So I guess I just never really thought of that as really a necessarily NXT produced feud. Just a continuation.
I viewed it from the sense of because the betrayal was the catalyst for that feud, but it was Kevin Owens' first night. So it's easy enough to say, yeah, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were friends before they came to NXT, but then you establish Kevin Owens as this dominant sort of heel and give him that extra push of hate from the crowd because Sammy was super over in NXT when he was the NXT champion. Like that was his first real underdog story, and then he did it 9 times since joining the main roster. But
and now they're trying again.
Yeah, well, this is number 9.
Oh, this is number 9. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was 10 too, but I had to double check my math, and it's just like, no, it's only 9. But no, I think that getting back to the promo itself, like the production value has just gone so high up since Triple H took over, since Kevin Dunn stepped down. They are trying so much on all 3 shows, and I appreciate that as a media broadcast student from way back in the day. And it really counters the argument that that AEW stood for, was they were the alternative to WWE. This is a whole new WWE. So I get it from the sense of like, yes, from a corporate level, you still have an alternative to the company, but I viewed this new version of WWE as the alternative to WWE.
Yeah, it's their own in-house alternative. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant marketing strategy. It really is.
But they still need to diversify the stages and make them a little bit more unique. Yeah, like I loved seeing the smaller stage, but I missed the bigger screen from Monday. It just adds something to the show. I also miss the show intro packages. Like those need, even without the fireworks, like just get back into putting those on every single week. It just adds to the production value.
I agree. But so we had a.
In case you thought I was on another tangent, no, I wrapped it back up to the production aspect of these shows.
Bang.
So comment section, don't call me out.
Right. But we had a quick little backstage segment there with Alpha Academy, just prepping for their match later that night, just working out, and Otis, being Otis. I mean, it's Alpha Academy. I kind of wonder if they're going to maybe hang around NXT for a while longer. We've talked about up on the main roster. Chad Gable has not been near them for the last 2 or 3 weeks, playing a different type of Chad Gable, wearing suits, just kind of like being a little angel on Sami Zayn's shoulder, talking him through his issues backstage and helping him deal with Gunther.
You know, I think that this might be what costs Sammy the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. I think they're going to have Chad Gable earn his trust and probably even be in his corner. And then this will lead to a triple threat match, maybe at Backlash in France.
Oh, right on. I can see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But as far as NXT goes,
We had a little
I
surprise.
think
We had a little surprise tonight.
yeah, like I'm not against Chad Gable striking out from Alpha Academy, but Alpha Academy is still doing good work in NXT. So if they do stick around, I'm not gonna have any sort of complaint there.
Yeah. Just kind of, with Otis and Cesaro, expand the tag division just a little bit more. Not a bad thing. But so tonight we had Lola Vice had an open challenge, and that challenge was answered by Natalya Neidhart popping down to Florida for the evening, which was a fun little
Main
surprise.
roster star with nothing going on coming down to NXT.
Yeah, that's what brings main roster stars to NXT, having nothing going on. But Natty picks up the win here in 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Solid match. I mean, it's Neidhart's good. Like, I mean, she's great in the ring, and she's going to get a good match out of just about anybody. Lola Vice is good. And it was solid. I was a little surprised to see Natty pick up the win here. So I guess they're going to maybe do some sort of TV program with her and Lola going forward.
Yeah, but I mean, she didn't need the win to accelerate that story. Like, there's a way to get there with Lola Vice still picking up the victory. I think Lola getting the loss here really takes away a lot of that momentum. Natalya didn't need the win. Vice didn't necessarily need a victory. Like, she still had some solid momentum from winning the breakout tournament, even though she didn't win when she tried to cash it in. But a loss to Natalya isn't going to do her any favors either.
No, and but I mean, it was a protected loss, but it's one of those things. It's like having a babyface win via distraction from a baby. It was via distraction. It was off a distraction.
I think there was enough that had happened after Petrovic came to the ring that an argument could be made that Natalya beat her clean.
All right. There was a stretch of time there, but I don't know. We'll see what they do with them going forward. But I mean, if she ends up getting the rub overall with a little feud from Natty, it's not going to hurt her. To give her something to do here until they're maybe ready to have her move into the title picture or something. But there's a lot of women in NXT, so they really do have to tell a lot of stories at once because there's only one title. And I know I'm
watching. I know you said you were getting back into NXT when we started doing the rewinds. Mm-hmm. Were you still watching NXT when Natalya came down to work with Cora Jade?
I did not. No, that was during part of the 2.0.
It was definitely. It was like Cora's last feud before she turned on Roxanne Perez.
Okay, I did not know.
Okay. I'm trying to draw a parallel, and I don't think I can yet because it's the first time we've seen Natty in NXT. And I mean, I think if I remember correctly, she did end up getting the victory over Cora Jade as well. Feel free to prove me wrong if anybody if I am wrong.
Google that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Natalya ended up walking away, and then she did shake Cora's hand at the end of that feud.
Okay.
So hopefully something good comes out of this for Lola Vice as well.
Yeah. But moving forward, we had a segment you alluded to a little bit ago, CJ. Shawn Spears was leaving the arena, talking to the camera. Looked like it was just going to be a promo of him calling out Gacy, when you just hear, "Hey, Joe!" And then a clang as he tosses the chair from the roof of the Performance Center. Again, has to be a major safety OSHA violation here, but hey, it's Gacy.
I meant to give that to you earlier. Just like the chaos gremlin that is Joe Gacy has been one of my favorite parts of NXT since Ava became general manager. Like, I I think this is a more interesting side of Jacy than the pacifist / cult leader that they had given him before. So I'm very excited to see if this is what gets me invested in Shawn Spears. Like, if they can tell a story with Spears and Jacy that gets me on board with Shawn Spears' character, same way that Braun Breaker did it for Baron Corbin, then all the better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and it is worth mentioning here that throwing the chair off the top of the building could have been a long-term mistake for Joe Jacy, as it was a little too close to the North American champion Oba Femi, who was walking into the building at that time, and Oba looked none too pleased regarding the chair nearly striking him. But moving on,
he
from
probably wouldn't have even felt it.
No, probably not. I heard this story once about, I can't remember where
him.
it was, but I heard this story about someone like tossing like a chunk of asphalt on Haku as he was like walking backstage under a little thing, and how he apparently did not like waver. But I've also heard that Haku is like legitimately the toughest dude in the history of professional wrestling. So heard a lot of fun, interesting stories about that guy. But anyway, moving from the outside of the arena with a chair nearly striking the North American champion, we go to a pre-taped segment with Sol Ruca, talking about her career, comparing professional wrestling to surfing and riding the waves. CJ, I'm going to let you handle this segment here.
Shawn, you're killing me. The full screen just out of nowhere, man. But no, I want to reiterate, I am a fan of Sol Ruca. Her in-ring ability is fantastic, and they highlighted some of the moves that she's been able to pull off in this video as well. And I'm glad that they're giving her some momentum coming into this feud with Blair Davenport, because when Blair was revealed as the person who was attacking so much of the women's locker room, I'm like, she is gonna have every single one of these women come back and beat her down as soon as they come back, which it was good for storytelling, because it's like, oh yeah, we can give all this heat to this one person, and it sets us up for stories down the road. It happening with Nikita Lyons is that she ended up getting injured again. So that I'm hoping we're able to avoid with Sol Ruca. But the promo that she was able to cut during this video was fantastic as well. So I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Absolutely. And it was also, again, we talk about how well produced all of these segments in NXT are. It was very well done in that if you are new to the product and maybe you don't know who Sol Ruca is, maybe she's been gone since you've been watching, or you're brand new to the product and all this, it did a very good job of explaining who she is, what her motivations are, what she's about, what her character is. And, props to that, because that's something that I feel we don't get enough of in wrestling in general. I feel like, there's just too much assumption made a lot of the times, like, oh, they'll remember what happened, when they were. It's like, no, there might be new people that weren't here 3 months ago. Something that's just a little quick reminder. It's not going to piss off the long-term fans. Like, it's fine. But
regular TV shows do it all the time with the weekly recaps, where it's like, oh yeah, that happened like 5 or 6 episodes earlier in the season. Why are you reminding me of it now? Obviously, because something's going to happen related to that plot point later on in the episode.
Exactly. But so transitioning from Sol Ruca's segment, we went to a live rebuttal from Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport's she's great across the board. She's good on the mic. This promo, to me, took an interesting little turn here. I feel Blair kind of went like full Anakin Skywalker here. She just started like bitching about sand. She just like so angry at the sand. She finds sand honestly, so annoying.
I half expected her to straight up say it's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating.
I was waiting. I'm like, was she just like chilling watching the prequels tonight? Like,
which is funny because I was watching what turned out to be Beverly Hills Cop, and it gets
wait. Sorry, CJ, 1 second. when you set it up, I was watching what turned out to be Beverly Hills Cop. How did it turn out to be Beverly Hills Cop?
Because, well, actually, it turned out to be the third one. But I didn't realize that. I was flipping through the channels, just not paying attention to. Oh, okay. Well, that's that. Just channel surfing as one does. And then I'm like, okay, well, I saw Eddie Murphy, and then it was the scene at the amusement park where they. Eddie Murphy's climbing on the ride, and the two people trying to get onto the ride that get blocked off. One of them's George Lucas.
Good grief. Wow. Of all the movie appearances he could have made.
Yeah. So just the fact that we were talking about Star Wars, I had to kind of take us on that tangent.
But Blair does not like sand at all. Angry about sand. And now I think the whole feud's just about sand, but but here we are.
What's with their eye makeup too? I don't know if I'm a fan of just the milk tears that are running down her cheeks.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of comic book Dawn. It was like maybe mid to late 90s comic. But I think Dawn's was, she might have done it in white, but I thought it might have been black for her. But that's what it reminds me of. But I have no idea if that's what it inspired or not. I feel like comic books of all eras inspire a lot of gear and looks for wrestling, but that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, it's an interesting look for sure. But solid promo as always from her. But that'll take us into our next match. We had NXT champion Ilja Dragunov taking on Channing Stacks Lorenzo. I almost say Tatum every damn time. Dragunov picks up the win here in 5 minutes and 3 seconds, predictably so. Yeah, sold the hell out of that hand. Was still selling it later in the night during a backstage segment. CJ, what'd you think of this match?
Fantastic match. Of course, the champ was winning this match, but that didn't detract from the quality. I mean, we knew that it was going to be intense, and we knew that. I didn't know that Dragunov's hand was going to get so mangled. That I was not expecting.
Now, is that an official move now? Because when he did that, when he stomped his hand, Vic Joseph called it cement shoes. And if Vic Joseph improv'd that, then we need to give him a lot more credit as a play-by-play guy. Because if he just named that move tonight, that's brilliant. Like, that's the level
I already give Vic Joseph all the credit in the world as a play-by-play commentator. And so it would not surprise me if that was completely off the cuff. I think Vic Joseph is bound to be the next Michael Cole. I think he's that good on commentary. Nothing against Corey Graves, but I think he does better work as a color commentator where he can settle into a character. And whether he's a face or a heel, like he works better as a hype man when he doesn't have to be stiff and rigid and business, whereas Vic can still get me invested while being like, oh, and by the way, Stand and Deliver's coming up, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, tell me about the PLEs, do your business. Like, he's that good. Like, same thing that I would say about Mauro Ranallo when he was down in NXT. Like, he really gets into the job, and I appreciate that.
Hey, he's fantastic. And speaking of how fantastic he is, he did a wonderful job during this match of telling and reiterating the story that the family is scouting and watching Dragunov. They're studying him closely. That's why this match is taking place. Stacks is basically taking a bullet so they can get that, firsthand knowledge of how he works in the ring. And it's great because it gives at least some first. It gives at least some small, hole there, something that you can grip onto that says, well, maybe the Dawn could win the match. Maybe if they scout Dragunov just good enough, he'll know his every move and he'll be able to best him. It's not going to happen, but like they're trying their hardest to give that, seed of doubt that, he could lose at Stand and Deliver. So, credit for that too.
Oh, absolutely. Had that same thought tonight where it's like am still I'm still inclined to think that a triple threat for the title with Melo and Trick was still the best possible way to culminate the story that they were telling. Because it did end up very much involving Ilja Dragunov and the NXT title. And I think Trick is ready to be crowned NXT champion. Whether I think Ilya's time as champion should end, that's another story. But I think that
hot take, I think it is. I'm ready. I'm ready to move on from.
Are you ready to see Ilja on the main roster? Like, do you think his time is there still anything left for him to do in NXT?
I don't know what's left. Like, it's kind of how we were saying, when we were getting into the Dusty Cup, we were saying, okay, like they're putting, Bron into the Dusty Cup because they have nothing else for him to do right now because he's just treading water until he goes up to the main. And I feel like that's where we're going to be with Ilja after Stand and Deliver. Like, I kind of feel like we're already there with him. Come on, like, no disrespect to the Don. I'm sure it sounds like I'm, kayfaming it here, but like, to me, that's not the world title match at your biggest show of the year.
Well, it should be the main event on any other card, but like the fact that they're focusing on the story, which was the same argument that I made for the main event of WrestleMania 39, night 1, being the tag team main event instead of Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Yes, Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble, but the bigger story was the main event. Right. Here we have the exact same thing. Yes, it's the NXT championship being defended, but the story is what people are watching for. They want to see Melo get absolutely destroyed.
Like, even like, without it being in the main event slot, I just mean the match itself. I don't feel that the NXT title match being Ilja Dragunov and the Don, I don't feel like that's worthy of their biggest show of the year. It came out of nowhere. There was very little build into this being the feud. And again, they've done very well with what they've had. With the time they've had to do it, they've crafted something compelling, like I said, that they've actually sown some seeds of doubt where you could maybe see Dragunov losing. But I just felt very thrown together and just very disjointed, which is not like Shawn. And it just feels like they pivoted into this from something else. Like you were calling that triple threat months ago. And I do think that originally Trick was going to get the title here. And for some reason, they shifted the title out of his feud with Melo. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's a situation where Trick's going to be on the main roster way sooner than we think he was going to be. I have no idea why they wouldn't put the title on him. That's the only reason I could think. Like, why not let him get that crown at the biggest show of your calendar year?
That's what bummed me out about Trick's North American title victory. The fact that it only lasted a week. Not even. Like, wasn't it he lost it the next NXT like 4 days later?
Yeah, it was very, very short-lived. Yeah, very short. Yeah.
So the fact that they cut him off at the knees once already, and then take away the opportunity for him to shine at the biggest show of the year, holding your brand's top prize up in the air, feels like a very missed opportunity. And I know I've said that in weeks past, but for Tony and his current character, best of the Don. He is the NXT title contender that his graphic doesn't show that he is. You know, like, you gotta update that too. Like, we've seen this
for a few weeks now for several people, really.
And I know we're out like 2 weeks from Stand and Deliver, but come on. Like, just it takes 5 seconds to shoot a new photo, and then however long it takes you to Photoshop it to make it look nice, and then throw that up on the graphic. Come on, like
Right?
you're a $1 billion company.
This is easy to do, guys. Come on, you've got the time. You've got to have like interns to do graphic design. Just have one of them do it. Easy. Come on. They're getting college credit, Shawn. Let them do something.
Do they still like? I don't know what their relationship is with Full Sail anymore.
Yeah,
is
I'm
there
not
one?
sure. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if there is or not. But moving on, we had a quick backstage segment with the Wolf Dogs having their fun, playful banter. Talking about how tan Bron is. Bron saying that he goes outside, which I think is funny that they imply that Baron Corbin doesn't go outside. I don't know why I find that
I
funny.
laughed so hard at that.
But I do, weirdly enough, I don't picture him as a dude hanging out outside a lot. He's not a super tan guy. He's about as tan as I am. Which is,
I mean, the fact that they've gone to his house and shown off all his earthly possessions, you're telling me that guy doesn't have a tanning bed?
Well, I guarantee Bron Breakker does.
That he can.
Right.
Well, yeah, I swear he's got like a room full of tanning beds. Like his power bill must be in the thousands of dollars just to power the tanning salon that encounters his home office.
To even calculate that bill would take some serious Steiner math there to even find that one. But fun segment. Yeah, looks like we're gonna maybe
carry the 7, move that decimal over, and you actually owe me $9,000.
It spells disaster. The numbers don't lie. But yeah, looks like we're gonna be moving towards Wolf Dogs and the Good Brothers. I said last week, we said a couple of times tonight. I do think that the OC will be getting the NXT Tag Championships at Stand and Deliver, and as they break up Corbin or the Wolf Dogs, as they're officially known. And we'll have to move on to that.
Yeah. But I was surprised that they did decide, especially even after this promo. Like, I thought it was all but assured that Alpha Academy was going to make it a triple threat at Stand and Deliver. So the fact that they're still leaving it a straight up tag team match is almost refreshing in a way. Like,
yeah, it really is. It is.
I'm glad that they didn't take the opportunity to just put more names on the card. If you think you can tell a better match with the 2, that's one thing. But if you think that the best story is Good Brothers versus Wolf Dogs, then thank you for not shoehorning Alpha Academy in there.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. So I look forward to the match. I always say I prefer, one-on-one, or in the case of, tag 2-on-2. I think that's what 95% of your matches should be. It should be exceptions to have those multi-man matches, and there should be damn good reasons in terms of storyline why you do it most of the time. Sometimes it's just fun, and that's fine. But it's kind of like, with the Hell in the Cell. That should be the culmination of a massive feud. It shouldn't be a pay-per-view where the match just happens because that's the name of the pay-per-view.
100%.
Yeah. But in moving on, we had Ridge Holland make his way to the ring to cut a promo that could have been an email.
Oh man,
I feel like that might be the most harsh thing I've said about Ridge Holland right there.
I had it written down in my notes. Like, I was surprised that they were treating it so sincerely, because I had written in my notes at one point, his jacket is not near salmon enough to justify this promo. What I did replace that note with was they did him a disservice by incorporating hurting people into his storyline. If you're not familiar with the last couple months of NXT, Ridge Holland, the fact that he had injured Big E and Elton Prince on SmackDown, he wanted to come down to NXT to reinvent himself, but then kept injuring people. We had called it out as being pretty tasteless, especially considering the instances that it happened were followed by real injuries that had happened to other superstars. So if this is part of a storyline, I might throw this microphone through a wall. Like I can't keep saying how tasteless it is. And I can't get on board with the storyline aspect of he's hurting people. If this is genuinely a retirement because he doesn't feel like he can do the job safely, that's one thing, but they're still harping on this I injure people.
Yeah, I think this is a story. I think we're still in story here. We're still living in kayfabe.
And that's what pisses me off about this is you can't keep expecting people to get involved or to feel sympathy towards Ridge Holland if he's saying he's unsafe and he injures people. The arc for him actually getting better as a wrestler, not feel sympathy for me until I retire.
Right. Yeah, it's building a baby face. The way to do it is not by having someone hurt people and then say, "Oh, I keep hurting people, feel bad for me." That's exactly. That's not how you do it. That's not a compelling hero there. But yeah. No. So it was. It was like I said. It could have been an email. It was. And it's not all like this isn't all his fault. This was a story he was given. But I mean, I guess you can always say no, but it's hard to say no to it's your job. You're on TV, is what you do. But it's not. It has really, really hurt him, and I don't really know how they rehab his character out of this. But we'll see what they do going forward. But yeah, I think we're looking at a story here. I don't think this is a legitimate retiring at all. But we'll see.
If it is. If this is the last time we see Ridge Holland in a WWE ring, do you think he deserved the "Thank You, Ridge" chants?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't like. My God, like. Here's the thing. Everybody that wrestles, they're doing way more than I ever will for this. Okay, I don't want to detract and take away from any of the athletes to do this job. I could never do it. But like,
absolutely,
it's not like this isn't. He's not been here that long. Like, I mean, this isn't like, WrestleMania, 25 with Shawn and Taker. That's not what this is. Like, it's a story angle, and I think it's a pretty transparent one at that. I could see him maybe being gone for a few months. Maybe that's going to be the plan. Just get him off TV for a while. Let people kind of forget about him in a little bit. Then when he comes back, they can try something to make him fresh. And hope to hell it doesn't hurt anybody.
Or even just move him off NXT and then still give him a few months off, but then move him up to Raw or SmackDown if you feel he's able to wrestle safely. Restart a rivalry with Pete Dunne. Bring him back as this monster heel and just have him go after Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Or whatever they decide to do with him. But I agree. I think they need to give him time away unless he's legitimately retired.
Do you know how much you have to suck to the point where you're on NXT to be given time away from the main roster so that you can come back refreshed, but now you have to be taken off of NXT to be given time to to take off and refresh? Like, that's like double buried. Like, that's buried under buried. It's insane.
If he shows up on Level Up, it's all over.
I was literally just about to say.
I kind of hope he's retired for
his
own
retirement speech on
dignity.
Level Up.
Oh God, where do you go from there?
Jeez.
Oh God.
Oh
no,
man. So it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So we'll see what they do going forward. But this wasn't a great section of his career. I think that is safe to say. But we'll talk about something that was a bit better here. Josh Briggs and Duke Hudson, 1-on-1 tonight. Briggs picks up the win here in 10 minutes and 29 seconds. Solid match. I like Duke Hudson a lot. We rag on Chase U a hell of a lot on this show. But there's talented folks working within that Chase U banner, and Duke's a good wrestler. I think he's a compelling, tough opponent. He never really wins. He's not going to win, but he looks good in loss. He'll always look strong in the ring, and he always puts up a good fight. So you're what you're going to get with it. But solid match though. But CJ, what'd you think?
I actually had it in my notes. Do you remember that they used to have Bodie Hayward in the Duke Hudson role? Like, that feels like an entire different
I kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, like, that was the first time I'd thought of him in, well, basically since WWE released him. But to think that there was a time when people were doubting the genuine relationship that Duke Hudson had with Chase U. Like, he is now Chase U through and through.
Right.
And I still think that he has North American title contendership written all over him, but I think this was the right move, putting Josh Briggs into the now triple threat match at Stand.
And now I think this triple threat match, I think this does serve a specific purpose here, because we've talked about the main event title scene. We've talked about what's going on with the NXT Championship and the possibility of, hey, if they swerve this away from being involved with Shrek and he and Melo are both main roster bound, we still got to get that belt off of Dragunov. We've talked about this a little bit here. We are all Oba feminists here on the NXT recap. And I think he could be, screw it. You know what? He's green as hell.
Oba femboys?
Oba femboys? Oh, I like that too. That's good. I like that.
That, I think, is an entirely different term. So maybe
it's still better than the Lexus King fan base shortly.
The Lex offenders?
The Lex offenders.
Registered Lex offenders?
Yeah, that was.
What happened? Was he on television?
No, he was not on tonight. Actually, a good point. Lex was not on tonight.
But he was on.
But neither were Von Wagner and Robert Stone, so they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't do that rivalry at all.
Yeah, that's true. But we've talked about Oba possibly winning the NXT title sooner rather than later. This is how you get that North American title off of him. He doesn't have to be involved.
Literally had this conversation last week.
Yep. You have Dijak pins Briggs. Bam. Give something Dijak to do for.
Why is Josh Briggs wearing the championship? Who made this graphic?
Oh, no, it's on Oba. It's on Oba.
I know. But
that's on Oba's shoulder.
Like, why isn't Oba Femi in the middle of this graphic?
It does look like Briggs.
Oh, 100%. I also
this
thought
whole
it was
thing is fucked up.
Graphic design is my passion. Like, it looks nice, but yeah, the order just looks.
It does seem odd. But a solid match though. And this is a triple threat I'm looking forward to, because I think it is going to ultimately lead to Oba winning the NXT title really soon.
Which is just one more reason that validates the theory that if they're stealing our ideas, like, pay us at least.
Just give us a little something. At least just mention it. I just want to hear a subtle drop about Dirt Sheet Radio on live TV. Look, if Punk called out Cornette's podcasts last night on Raw, then someone can do it for us.
Exactly, especially on NXT. Like, that's the safest show to do that stuff on, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. But good match again. Looking forward to that triple threat coming up. Briggs looks good every week. I like Briggs a lot. I'm not 100% what they're really doing with this character now. Like we've said this before, they were doing that heel turn and then they started to walk that back, and I don't know. I like him though. I like him. I just don't know quite what they're planning on doing with him going forward.
Guess we'll just have to wait and see. I think Stand and Deliver is going to be like the season finale as far as a lot of our storylines, and then we're gonna get the annual call-ups to the main roster, and then we'll start season whatever we're on. now for NXT.
Right.
Hick and Bottom High.
Hick and Bottom High. A brand new season of Hick and Bottom High.
Senior class.
Senior class, Hick and Bottom High. The college years, Hick and Bottom High. But we real quick here, just a couple odds and ends things here. That was the last match we'll be discussing here tonight. But they did have the official announcement that Metaphor, as we said earlier, will be hosting Stand and Deliver, which I'm sure will be fun, but again, feels a bit like a waste of their talents there. We also had a clip from Instagram with Ariana Grace just going through her closet looking for an outfit. She called her Georgina, I believe, is what she referred to her as. An outfit for Georgina. She wanted to use the gold, but the gold will clash with her hair. So.
But we didn't see the outfit, so I feel
Next
like.
Week.
But what if it's anything like I'm picturing? Why is it in Ariana Grace's wardrobe to begin with?
I don't know, but she has an extensive wardrobe, though. She is a beauty queen champion. #KFan. But so we'll see what happens with that going forward next week. And then we had a quick backstage statement with Kelly Kincaid talking to Ilja Dragunov, still selling the busted hand. And he was approached by Crucifino. And we didn't mention this earlier, but the family was talking about inviting Ilja to a very special dinner at some clandestine location that
apparently mythical.
Yeah, like Shangri-La or something. Like, I don't know where they're going, but we'll see next week. It's just going to be the same restaurant redress as something else. They have one set that they just keep redressing.
Well, hey, I mean, maybe they're getting that. Maybe they're getting some help from Peacock, and it's just like you're watching the promo next week, and it's like, is that the Continental? And then that's how we find out the Continental Season 2 coming to Peacock. 2024.
That'd be fantastic. Just beautiful tie-in there, But yeah, that would bring us back up to the main event, which we discussed at the top of tonight's show. So CJ, is there anything else from tonight's NXT that you wanted to touch on before we move into our jobbers and megastars of the night?
Now, just 1 week closer to Stand and Deliver. I am so excited for WrestleMania weekend this year.
11 days away. And again, I know I said this last night on the Raw Rewind. I will say it again next week on the Go Home show for Stand and Deliver. But we will not be doing a post-show rewind for Stand and Deliver. We're going to be doing a watch-along. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I didn't get to do the watch-along for Elimination Chamber, but I'm really looking forward to getting to this. It was 2 a.m. I had to work that morning, but it was super early. But so looking forward to that. So guys, please tune in for the watch along. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be, riffing and bebopping and scatting on everything. It's gonna be a good time, guys. We'll have fun. But that'll bring us up to our jobber of the night. I'm going with Rich Holland. When when you announce your retirement and you get cheers, that's not good.
It was very unfortunate that the crowd had such a positive reaction to a man saying, "No, I think I'm done here." But I was also going to give my my jobber of the night to Rich Holland. I was trying to figure out if there was anyone else I could give it to. What's that?
Both of you are horrible people.
Look, I tried to find somebody else, and if there was not such a firm belief that this is storyline, I would feel terrible. I'm no longer campaigning for our jobber of the night to be named the Ridge Holland of the night, but
that would be too far. That's a bridge too far, or a ridge too far, if you will.
I'd rather if you didn't. I think we have a new jobber of the night, ladies and gentlemen. That joke.
Look. Here's the thing. Look,
that joke was a ridge too far.
Yeah, I've got 4 kids in my life. Dad jokes is all that's coming out at this point, guys. So, it's all Dora the Explorer.
But no, like as far as jobber, like, nobody really fit the bill tonight. This was a solid show because you want to make sure that everybody and their dog is looking good heading into Stand and Deliver. So I think like the next person on the list was Jazmyn Nyx, and only because she lost her match to Thea Hail.
Yeah, and that's not really how you want to have your TV debut go. And it was it's fair. It was solid match for what it was, but God, if you're going to do that, at least have it go to a no contest. Don't have her lose out the gate. That defines her down pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But so CJ, who'd you have for your megastar tonight?
Ridge Holland. No, just kidding. I got to give it to Trick Williams. Like, the fact that he still gets the reactions that he does, even when it's a pre-recorded video. Like, I can't believe that it's not a triple threat match for the title.
Mm-hmm.
He just has so much momentum. And even for Melo to lose the match, that's not going to hurt him when he jumps to SmackDown. Like, he would have just main evented the biggest PLE of the NXT calendar year. That is a huge feather in his cap for when he gets to SmackDown. So I will never get why they didn't pull there's no denying Trick Williams is NXT's biggest star right now. So of course he's megastar of the night.
Absolutely. Tonight I went with Dijak. As stated earlier,
solid choice.
I'm solidly behind him at this point. I am a Dijak diehard. I'll come up with some pun for Dijak fandom. It's going to happen. I'll ruminate on that a little bit. There you go, CJ. That's tonight, or not CJ. If Caesar, if you're watching, that's tonight's word. Ruminate. He was calling me out on my words last night. So,
okay, that makes sense. The word of the day. The word of the day.
Yeah, right. That's tonight's word. Then ruminate. But
a lot of Yoko love in the comments.
What the fuck?
I love this show so goddamn much. But solidly behind Dijak. I really hope that we're right with what they're doing with Oba, because I want Dijak to get that North American title and just hold that and have some fun with it. Get a new entrance, but otherwise, dude, he's my mega star of the night. Looking forward to what they're doing with him going forward. And again, like I said, like every week, looking forward to what he does in the ring, out the ring. The character work's fun. His in-ring work is really solid. Good times. But
absolutely.
Fantastic night of NXT wrestling. Again, we've got the WrestleMania weekend shows coming up. Goodness gracious, it's Dirt Sheet Radio, guys. We've got Raw Monday nights, Tuesday nights, we're here for NXT. Wednesday nights, we got Dynamite. Thursday nights, good grief, I'm getting everything mixed up now. Thursday nights is it Impact now. Friday night SmackDown, obviously, CJ. And Saturdays and Sundays, we got the PLEs rolling through. Collision, unfortunately, never really gets its due here for recaps. But that's because so much happens on Saturday nights, guys.
They didn't even have one last week.
That's right.
There was no.
Oh no!
It just disappears because they could give him basketball or something.
Well, I thought last week was, or was that 2 weeks ago when they did the test run for the 3-hour Dynamite?
Don't say that. Don't put that in the universe. God, no.
No, he wouldn't do it. Tony's smarter than that. I genuinely do believe that.
I'm scared because Warner Brothers was like, "Wow, did you see how many more people watched it on this hour?"
Yeah, that's what USA did too.
Fuck. He's been. I get that Rampage is only a 1 hour show. Rampage is only 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he will double up with Battle of the Belts whenever those roll around. So the stacking shows isn't unprecedented, but I do think that if they go to a 3-hour show, it shouldn't be Dynamite then Collision. Dynamite then Collision. It should be just Dynamite.
Yeah.
I just want to stay away from 3-hour shows, please.
Okay. This was Tyler, I think we talked a bit about this yesterday, or maybe this was just a conversation that we had either offline. Do you think that there's a good chance Raw will go back to 2 hours once they hit Netflix?
Well, I initially wanted to say yes, and then I found out that there still is going to be like some sort of commercial
Yep.
revenue tied
Yep.
to it. Like there's going to be a commercial-free version, obviously, where like you'll see. I think it's just like what's going on in the ring during the commercial break. But the fact that they're going to have commercials makes me feel like they're still going to go for 3 hours at this point.
100%.
Initially, I thought it was going to be the 2. I was hopeful. Hunter has said he prefers the 2-hour Raw, but Netflix has spent
He
a
prefers
lot.
the 2-hour Raw.
Yeah,
all the staff prefers a 2-hour Raw. All the viewers prefer a 2-hour Raw.
But Netflix has spent a lot of money getting
We
this,
like money.
and they're going to want to get that money back, and they're going to make it, by God, and they're going to do it with the ad revenue primarily. So, yeah, I think we're still looking. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it's going to be like a hard and fast 3 hours every week. I think with Netflix, there might be a little bit of wiggle room with it, like being like, 2 hours and 52 minutes or 3 hours and 8 minutes. Like I could see that being a little more liquid with that deal, because they're not going to be working with a network, but time will tell, really.
Plus, I think we'll have to see how this Logan or what's the other Paul brother?
Jake.
The one that's fighting Mike Tyson? Jake Paul.
The one that's going to get
the Jake Paul Mike Tyson
by Mike Tyson.
Tyson fight. Of him training. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing it up is because that being a perfect example of the live event model that Netflix is going to have to utilize for WWE to be successful on Netflix. So we'll see how that goes and whether we might have to see further changes to Raw and SmackDown and maybe even NXT once that deal goes live.
I think the thing with those Jake Paul fights is who's promoting those, because they're usually run like a little bit loose and fast, like a circus. I think the WWE's held it. They've done this kind of thing for so long that I don't think when they shift over to Netflix is going to be taking over too much from them. I think they'll basically plug their asses right up into whatever Netflix has got going on, and WWE seamless production.
Sorry,
live,
I probably should have phrased that differently. It wasn't that Netflix wouldn't be able to run a live event. It more so their streaming platform being able to support that many active viewership that WWE brings. So the fact that we're gonna have everybody and their dog watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, that'll be a good model to see how well they can handle, commercial ads and even just being able to
these apps
support
never seem
that many
these apps never seem able
stable
to
enough
support any kind of like huge surge of customers. You would think, like, even Netflix, they've been around for so long, you would imagine, yeah, they've totally got it. Even I imagine they may, even if they do have some issues, I'm sure they'll figure it out. But I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Millions of people, maybe a million people at least. Trying to watch at once is really different from what they've dealt with. I'm sure they what did they do live? Chris Rock, the SAG Awards. You don't got a million people watching those things.
No,
so we'll see.
And I think that there's a possibility that them moving to Netflix could bring, a number of new viewers to the product. Because you got to think, there's a lot of people that don't have cable in any way, shape, or form, that don't have access to USA in any way, shape, or form. That's one of the reasons why WWE's YouTube numbers are so good, because that's the way a lot of people of a younger generation see the product. Now, they do probably have Netflix. So, you just wonder if they're going to have maybe even more of a spike from that. Here's the thing. Full disclosure, I do not currently have a Netflix subscription. I will have to be re-upping my Netflix subscription for Raw specifically. So I know that I'm someone that's going to be buying Netflix specifically because of Raw, and I can't be the only one doing that.
It will be interesting, though. Not that you, I didn't mean to cut you off, CJ, but the idea that people will be paying, because we're not getting the network here yet.
No.
It's just Raw.
It's just for Raw.
I do wonder how many people are going to be willing to bite that bullet just for one show every week. They're going to have to do something.
Like their international subscription numbers are probably going to go skyrocket through the roof because Canada we're getting the WWE network essentially migrated into Netflix. And that was kind of what Tyler and I were talking about before we went live, whether Netflix might adopt the Peacock model of we're going to charge a tier that is specifically dedicated to WWE. Like they have the basic membership, but that doesn't include WWE, right?
That is entirely possible, especially when who is it? ESPN Plus currently has UFC, right? And you have to pay for ESPN Plus and the UFC events when they happen. So,
like I'm going to be over the moon happy when I can cancel my Sportsnet Plus subscription. Another thing that Tyler and I were talking about, we got to just after the final commercial break of the main event and Vic Joseph comes back with, as you saw during the commercial break, I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. Like that was no. And then like 10 seconds later, after that, Sportsnet kicks me off and tells me I need to log in again. So I'm going to be very happy to stick with Netflix. I have Netflix right now, but I'm also wondering if they're going to go the sort of Amazon Prime sort of route where they have dedicated channels that you would have to pay. So the Netflix subscription plus being able to access WWE.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I mean, they're going to make money. Whatever makes them the most money is what they're going to end up doing.
And I mean, if I have to pay an extra $9.99 a month for the WWE network on Netflix, whatever, you know, I would rather have that just so it's all consolidated and in one place. And like these deals that they signed for NXT on the CW and SmackDown on USA, I have to imagine that they're not going to wait for those TV deals to expire. They had to have had some sort of caveat in those contracts that says, at a certain point during this TV deal, broadcast streaming rights, like you'll still get air on cable, but it feels like they're going to have to give streaming rights to Netflix for SmackDown and NXT before those deals expire.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly, yeah.
I'm mostly concerned with whether or not it's going to stream in 4K. I am a big quality junkie. I have a very I'm not bragging. I have fucked up eyes, so the clearer the picture, the more I enjoy it. So
would that require them to purchase new cameras?
Well, they already seem to have them. Okay. They have.
I remember when they switched to all HD cameras and they had to tell everyone to quit spray tanning. And I remember poor Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was the last one. He was the holdout. He kept spray tanning until his white pants turned orange on Sci-Fi SmackDown or Sci-Fi ECW.
I remember that.
I mostly remember them telling people to work a little stiffer, and Big Show's finish at the time was a stupid ass punch. And so he started actually like clocking people for like a couple weeks. And I'm sure somebody was like, "What the fuck?"
I remember an episode of ECW where that episode of ECW where Hardcore Holly took a suplex onto the table and just sliced his back open.
That was an adult.
I remember that episode making it in HD.
Right.
But I guess before we get out of here, I do want to let you guys know to shop with DSR at our Shopify store, our Dirt Sheet Radio Shopify store. You can find it in our link tree, which is available everywhere. The Cold Case Project on YouTube. Nick LaRocco's brother, fuck his name, I forgot. I smoked too much marijuana. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a failure. No, the
Best
Code
ad
Case
read ever.
Project on YouTube. It's 2024. You know how to use a goddamn YouTube search bar. You put in the Cold Case Project. It comes up. A whole bunch of videos about cold cases come up, and if you're into it,
and you watch it,
you just click it, and you fucking
you
sit down.
You like it, and you subscribe. That's how this works, people. It's easy.
Literally. And while you're there, subscribe to Dirt Sheet Radio on YouTube. We need that. We like that stuff. Makes me happy.
And as
we do have some people watching on YouTube as well. Yeah. So shout out to the people that are already watching us and subscribe there.
Thank y'all.
And as discussed last night, if you do subscribe, you do get to verbally abuse us one time.
Just one.
But it cannot use slurs of any kind, and it has to be a PG put down, we'll say. 3rd grade, like, it's an A and B conversation, see your way out of it, that kind of shit. All right? We got to keep it safe, but you get to insult us one time.
Yeah.
Also, check out the Major Issues podcast tomorrow morning, Thursday. Not tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Thursday morning, we're going to be talking about The Ultimates by Mark Miller and Brian Hitch from Marvel's Ultimate Universe. And a retrospective on the Ultimate Universe in general. It was a interesting time. It's fun while it lasted. Burned bright, fast, and then blew up
very quickly.
Also, check out the Dolphin Pod shows. They are available everywhere podcasts are found, cinema themed, pop culture themed, and of course, Dirt Sheet Radio being the pro wrestling themed podcast in the Dolphin Pod network. Check them out. Google Dolphin Pod. Use your fucking internet. And finally, check out Dirt Sheet Radio streaming live every single day, as Tyler mentioned earlier. Monday after Raw, Tuesday after NXT, Wednesday after Dynamite, Thursday after Impact, Friday after SmackDown, Saturday and Sundays after PLE PPVs. And I think that is all I have to plug. Oh, fuck. Aromatherapy.
Monk.
Monk.com.
Monk. The smelly monk.
Monk.com. MONQ.com. Promo code DSR10 for 10% off of your Monk aromatherapy. There you go.
It'll smell so good you'll want to eat it, but you can't.
I'm not even going to comment.
Fair enough. So before we get out here tonight, CJ, please tell all the good folks at home watching live and on delay where they will see you next and where they can find you.
Well, I'm always on Twitter at CJCarter22. I'm here every Tuesday recapping NXT, every Friday recapping Friday Night SmackDown. I am super excited for WrestleMania weekend between Stand and Deliver, both nights of WrestleMania. It is shaping up to be one of the biggest weekends in wrestling history. So I'm very happy that I get to be part of the Dirt Sheet Radio network and get to speak my thoughts.
Hell yeah. And as always, I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster at PW Hipster, pretty much across the board, but the Pro Wrestling Hipster on Facebook, which honestly is where I do the bulk of my content. I really only use Twitter to get pictures from memes these days, to be honest. But you can find me there, and you can find me every Monday night here on Dirt Sheet Radio, breaking down Raw and having a good time doing it, and on Tuesday nights here breaking down NXT, also having a wonderful time. Like I say, NXT is 2 of the most action-packed hours, densely packed hours of wrestling, especially for WWE. And then, yeah, like CJ said, we've got WrestleMania weekend coming up right around the corner. It's going to be a fun, very, very busy weekend for all of us here. Lots of streaming, lots of wrestling to watch. It's going to be huge. Hoping the story gets finished. But as mentioned last night, one of my dogs called me Cody Crybaby. So, it's going to be a good weekend, though. So looking forward to all that. And as always, want to thank everyone that's out there watching us live, that sits through all these conversations. Thank you guys so much. We do it for you. We'll see you guys next time.